Some people know exactly what they want to be in life. A doctor, pilot, a pro skier, a pro diver. I wasn't one of those people. And at the age of 16, I was an introvert with few friends. Recess was not the best time of the day in school. And I was not the cool kid on the block, and I was a bit of a geek. And although I had good grades in the past, now I was not doing well. In math and science, I was barely doing okay, but in humanities, I was failing. And I was very unhappy, I was very stressed, and I didn't have a dream or a vision for the future. So how did I end up here today giving a TEDx talk? I'd like to share 2 episodes of my life, what I learned from each of them, and how they helped me change myself and grow out of the shell of this introverted teenager to build a human network and to create a different kind of business. So the first episode starts in high school. I was 16 years old and I was still living in Italy where I grew up. And one day during a philosophy class, we were handed booklets about exchange programs. And I said to myself from the seat in the back of the class, life is hard enough, who needs to study abroad for a whole year? But then I also remember saying, but I can't listen to the old lady talk. And so I opened the first booklet, and they were talking about exchange programs in the US. But I didn't speak a word of English back then, so I just turned the page. And there was Canada. People, at least some people, speak French in Canada. I speak some French. It's going to be freezing cold, but I'll never have to listen to the old lady talk anymore. So by 8 a.m. the following day, I was at the post office, and with my application to live for a whole year in Canada in a different family. And when I left, I just turned 17. Living home in the middle of an adolescence crisis is not the easiest thing to do. Affirming myself in a foreign country and becoming part of a new family with a different culture is not an easy feat. At first, people were curious. But I quickly got tired of telling the same story over and over. And I felt more like a novelty than a human being. And so after the enthusiasm of the first couple months, I lost the first friends I made. I was away from home on holiday season. The days were getting shorter and shorter, and I was in the middle of the Canadian country with temperatures exceeding minus 38. And at that point, you don't really care anymore if it's Celsius or Fahrenheit because it's just so cold, you can barely get outside. And besides, minus 40 Celsius is minus 40 Fahrenheit, which is the proof I'm still a geek. Anyway, I felt alone and I felt isolated. This picture was actually taken at the beginning of the spring with my lovely host family. But the family who hosted me was actually so generous and supportive, I actually made it through. The professors in school were very helpful. The new kids I met were open and kind, and the fellow exchange students were very supportive of each other. And so at the end of this year, with the help and generosity of those around me, I had destroyed and rebuilt myself. I learned to be curious. I learned to be open. But most of all, I was more confident, and I learned to believe in myself. And in fact, when I got back to Italy to finish high school, I got pretty good grades. It doesn't have to be fun, said Barry Blanchard, a famous North American alpinist. Joy and pleasure are not the same thing. Living home was not fun, was not simple. But with the support of my host family, my professors, fellow exchange students, and friends, the reward was actually immense. And so the first lesson I learned was that I had to dare to go, dare to do, just take the challenge. Opportunities come in life, but we have to take them. But I also learned to look at people in a whole different light. If it wouldn't have been for the support of my family and friends, I would have never made it. A young teenager who couldn't give anything back but a thank you and a smile had received so much from people who owed him nothing, yet welcomed him as part of their families. And so I learned that by being generous in life, the relationship we build will be true and long-lasting. We can truly make an impact if we really care about others. Sometimes we'll be disappointed, but that's not the point. We don't do it to get anything back. But most of the time, we will receive so much more in return. And so from this experience, I really learned that being genuinely interested in other people and generous in supporting them is the foundation to all human relationships. The second episode starts in fall 2017. I was in Nepal with 3 friends of mine, Fred, Ben, Elias, also known as Le Gang de Moustache, because they like to grow a mustache when they go on expeditions. I had a mustache too, but you won't see the picture. And they were attempting to open a new route on the south face of Nuptse, a very difficult and technical mountain just next to Everest. And they invited me to do the acclimatization with them on a nearby technical summit called Cholatse at 6,400 meters. The goal for them was to spend about a week at altitude to acclimatize. Before the big climb, I would climb with them Cholatse, and then I'd go back before the big expedition. My personal goal was slightly simpler than that. I just wanted to climb this beautiful mountain with my friends and make sure I didn't do anything stupid to interfere with their acclimatization process. Because if I failed, it wasn't so much a problem for me, but it was jeopardizing their future expedition. So my goal was just to avoid do anything stupid that would put the dream in danger. And so after a night at Camp 3, at 6,200 meters, Fred and Ben decided to go back at Camp 2 to recover an extra canister of gas to make sure that we have enough fuel to spend enough time in the mountain. And Elias and I start breaking trail on this very exposed ridge, just to give you an idea of the size. But before leaving camp, Elias asks me to take the GPS transmitting device, which I put at the top of the pack. And I made a mental note to myself, I needed to be careful when I open the bag. And so exactly 2 hours later, Elias reaches the summit of this very exposed ridge, and I join him. The clouds that come in, and I go to reach for my jacket in the back. And as soon as I start pulling on the sleeve of the jacket, I see a yellow piece of plastic just slipping out in the abyss, just disappear in the abyss below us. I dropped the only piece of equipment that allows us to communicate with the civilized world in case of an emergency. But not only that, they needed that equipment to get the weather report for the future expedition. So because of my silly mistake, I put in danger both expeditions, and I was just petrified because I disrupted their dream. They worked for this for years. And by sheer luck, we were able to send one text message from a cell phone and explain our silence to our families that were expecting news from us. Not once during that period of time, my friends ever said that I dropped that device. Not once on the following weeks on the phone they ever said, Giovanni dropped it. They always said, we dropped it, even if I put their dreams in danger. And so with a lot of luck and even more perseverance, they were able to get a new sat phone in Kathmandu, ship it up to Advanced Base Camp. And not only they opened a super beautiful route in the south face of Nuptse, but they were also awarded the highest reconnaissance for alpinists, the Oscar of Alpinism, the Pilet d'Or. So there's a happy ending this time. Guaranteed outcome climbing. As Mark Francis Dwight, another famous North American alpinist, notoriously said about staying in your comfort zone. Never do anything exceptional, only do what you think you can accomplish. However, no business, no project was ever successful by being average, by not taking risks, by not innovating. But if you do take risks, if you do dare, the only guarantee is that you will do mistakes. And if you don't learn to forgive ourselves and those around us, we will never learn from our mistakes, we'll never move past our failures. And so by being forgiven myself, I learned to forgive those around me. And I learned that blaming others for their mistakes because they tried something exceptional will not fix the problem. Working with them, your coworkers, your friends, your teammates, will make them accomplish things that would otherwise be impossible. And so these 2 episodes and countless others really changed me. By challenging myself and with the support and forgiveness of those around me, I went from an introvert, struggling teenager to an entrepreneur surrounded by a network of really cool people. And the more I challenged myself, the more the friends around me helped me succeed and move past my failures. No project is successful if we do it alone. No business was ever created without a team of talented people, no matter the vision. And if we don't have a network of people, if we cannot motivate them around an idea, we will never succeed. And so I started my life project, a company called Blue Eyes, borrowing the name from the natural element that inspired me to climb when I was a child, and building on the network of really cool people who support me. With their help, we went from a garage project to a small business. And by focusing on products by climbers for climbers, we're building a brand that's not driven by corporate greediness, but by the passion for what we do. Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, once said, "We used to make gear for ourselves and a few of our friends. Now we just have a lot more friends." This is exactly how we're building our company. By listening to our employee, we're paying attention to our customers. By making gear we want to use ourselves, we're innovate and create unique products. And so, the introvert teenager I was would find it hard to believe, but today, the thing I'm proudest of in life is not the brand, is not the product, is not our fancy building. It's the human network who supports this project. Thank you.